For centuries, the ancients have guarded the secret to financial enlightenment. Now, it can be yours. Introducing Jeetroot, the world's first conviction-enhancing elixir. Cold-pressed, liquidity-infused, profit enhancer.
I used to do full TA on 50K meme coins, RSI, EMA, squiggly lines. Now I just eyeball the market cap. You don't need horoscopes thanks to Jeetroot.
I used to sell my entire portfolio before every CPI print, just in case. Now I hardly ever think of Powell. I sold Fartcoin at 10 cents, bought back at $2. Now, I'm just chilling. Hot air rises.
Jeetroot, trusted by ancients, abused by degenerates, accepted by no regulators. Still, probably your best shot.
GM, welcome back to the channel. In this one, a quick market update, going to focus on Hyperliquids. We'll cover a little bit of the Iranian versus Israel news. Talk about some stablecoin yields as well, and a new application I've started to use on a bit of a trial basis. And we'll finish up on some kind of 4-year cycle for altcoins as well. So BTC here at 104.991 as we're filming, and this is on Hyperliquid. Check out the link down below, and some of the recent videos I've done on Hyperliquid. Got a airdrop tutorial coming up next. Bitcoin holding up pretty well. FOMC yesterday, not too much to talk about on that front, to be honest with you, and the market seemingly doesn't look in a bad position here if you're asking me. So first news story is this, and this is around Hyperliquid and treasury strategies. We've seen quite a lot of Bitcoin treasury strategies. You're starting to see altcoins get added to treasuries. Seeing that with Solana, you're seeing that with Ethereum and what Consensus is doing and a few others, but now you're seeing Hyperliquid as well, which is pretty interesting. So this company here is pivoting from iDrops to Hype tokens as per this Blockmates news article. Essentially, they are becoming more of a DeFi focused company, and they see the hottest layer 1 and DeFi application as Hyperliquid. And so they're looking to buy around 50 million bucks worth of Hyperliquid. So the Hype token there. And this will attract a sale or a purchase of around 1 million tokens. And with HIP3 coming up, this allows anyone who can stake 1 million Hyperliquid tokens to set up their own perps markets and essentially like white label the infrastructure of Hyperliquid. So maybe there's some more to come around this, which is super, super interesting. But this is a raise that has occurred by this NASDAQ listed company. And as I say, $50 million apparently going into Hyperliquid. I don't believe they have been able to purchase as of yet, but this has kind of been approved. And it says, CEO Michael Rowe emphasized the board's decision was made after evaluating all available alternatives, framing the strategy as a diversification tool to potentially increase long-term shareholder value. So what they're doing here is hopefully, piggybacking off the bat, they're seeing Hyperliquid as the most investable asset in terms of large caps in the market right now outside of Bitcoin, and saying, look, if we can strap this to the balance sheet, obviously they can get a large follow through on the share price. One thing to add here, this company has a market cap of like 170 million, I believe it is, according to investing.com. And it seems to be kind of a bit of a, out there left field strategy, really trying to pump the stock price, I believe is the main reason behind this. But the fact that they will be contributing and staking these tokens, I think that says quite a lot about this one. But this is the more sketchy one, to be honest with you. LGHL, which stands for Liongate. And Liongates are a very micro-cap company, according to investing.com, have a market cap of like 1.8 million bucks only. And they've partnered with this group down here, ATW Partners, who pretty much just invest in speculative or high-risk companies and try and do these YOLO plays. So the headline reads, they're securing $600 million facility. If you read into this, they're able to attract around 10.6 mil initially, and this kind of 600 million number is the kind of headline grabber, but it looks like they will get 10 million bucks to invest into the Hype token. So seeing a bit of, confluence around treasury companies here getting into Hype, but clearly trying to use that for their own benefit to pump stock price off the back of that. And hopefully, obviously, they think Hype token is going to continue up and to the right. What does Kobe think of Hype as a token kind of valuation? He's saying, look, potentially bull case 150 to 200-ish. Don't know if it goes lower first, but obviously hasn't got a crystal ball, but 150 to 200 bucks is what Kobe sees here. So what is Hype trading at today? This morning it is at 38 bucks. So anywhere above like this Pico top back in December, above like 35 region, if we can just maintain above this kind of cluster here and even just chop sideways for a bit, reaccumulate and go again, I think that will look very good for Hyperliquid. But those are the kind of news stories coming out around the Hyperliquid camp right about now. Let me know what you think of that. Pretty outrageous stuff. We've seen Bitcoin treasury strategies, now Hyperliquid treasury strategies. So this week you've also seen, apart from the war escalation, Israel seemed to be very good at hacking shit. They've hacked 2 crypto exchanges in Iran, and this recent one is an $80 million hack on Nobitex. So essentially what they're doing is rugging these exchanges for their funds, which, you know, how they're doing this, I don't know. Apparently the Pegasus virus is, you know, produced by the Israelis, I hear. So, you know, they probably infiltrated all sorts of tech. You know, you saw them blowing up like handsets, pages, etc. previously. So yeah, this is pretty troubling shit. But they've rugged a total of 48 mil, which has now been upward revised to 80 mil. And they've seen a lot of funds get extracted via the Tron blockchain. So I don't think they're going to get any of those funds back here. But this war is taking a turn into the cyber attack region at this point in time. Mentioned at the top of the show, stable yields. This is Armor from the team over at Giza. And I've just deployed $100 just to test it out and see what happens here. Obviously utilizing an AI agent to do yield farming for stablecoins. So what does it do, TLDR? Well, the agent here that you're able to spin up, you give it access to its own little account. You can also personalize where it will yield farm across, but these are all the protocols on Base. So it's based on the Base chain, and it's going to look for the best yields across Aave Comp, Euler, Fluid, Moonwell, and a few others in here. And it will actively manage your funds for you and move them to the most profitable pool as and when required. So the agent is continually monitoring stuff. I've only just deposited this, just going to do it as a bit of fun to see what happens, but I'll report back on this one. But rather than you having to look at all the dashboards, maybe withdraw your collateral, put it into a different one, this does it all automated for you and just gives you the returns. So if you just look at a base level, Aave on mainnet, around 3.4% APY. Armor is supposedly netting around 15%, but that does include some rewards in the Giza token here. So you're looking at around 7% for Morpho, plus 7% for Giza rewards, so around 15%, but we'll see how this runs. I've looked at the averages over the last few months. It seemingly is able to pull out 7, 8, 9% on stables quite easily. So we'll stay tuned with this one. It seems very interesting to me. AI agents doing actual useful stuff for people on chain. I think this is obviously a big and growing market. Post here from CRG Macro. Just looking at Bitcoin, as you can see there, ETH. These are both on 1 hour time frames. Then you've got Sol and Fartcoin there. But he's pretty much saying, look, none of them have taken out key levels apart from like Fartcoin dipping down into the weekly open, I believe it was. But he's saying, look, things are firmed up post FOMC. So maybe we're going to see bottom has been formed and a bit of up-only price action. That would be rather nice, wouldn't it? Then we'll finish up over here. This is just looking at the total crypto market cap of others. So this excludes top 10 and I believe all the stables. So what you can see from this more broadly and quite a simplified look of the market is altcoins typically top in Q4, the year after the halving. And then they have around a 12-month period before they bottom. And they pretty much repeat this cycle. So we did that in the last 2. Obviously, limited amount of data to go by. And so if this was to copy across, we'd had the bottom for altcoins in December of 2022. They then peak Q4 of the year post-halving. So that is Q4 of this year, 2025. And then the bottom is put in during this period, which is the year after they've peaked. And it also coincides with the midterm year in the US as well. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe that is just a bit of horoscope stuff, but a bit of a pattern emerging there. So you would essentially look at selling your bags into Q4 of this year. Hopefully a large parabola awaits for us. And then you can buy back stuff 1 year later, but the safest bet would obviously be to allocate back into Bitcoin at that point, and then see how the altcoin landscape, figures itself out, because most of the top gainers here weren't even around during this period. So they were born during the new uptrend. But that is all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Check out the link down below for Hyperliquid. See you in the next one. Peace.